out there. This is Leigh with Coda Country, and today we are joined by a new Nashville friend of ours. This is Mr. Michael Warren. How are you doing today?
Hey, what's going on, Leigh? How are you? I'm doing great.
Great. It's so good to hear, and I'm so thankful that we finally connected on social media and got in touch through Instagram. Tell the people out there how to find you on Instagram if they haven't found you already.
So I mean, Insta, I'm mostly active on there, and it's Michael Warren Official, WARREN.
Cool.
Same thing on Facebook and all that other good stuff. So, yeah, I'm kind of most active on Instagram. If that's where people want to come chat along with me, see what's going on.
Yeah, good place to follow you. All right, so we'll get right into the interview today and just do a little chit chat just to know a little bit more about you. I guess the first question that everybody wants to know is what got you started in this crazy career path that you're going on? Tell me how you got started in music and tell me what made you want to give music a try.
So we'll definitely need more than 30 minutes for that question. But so no, I mean, long story short, and I grew up. So I'm originally from Washington State. We just moved out the area just this summer. And just in the process, almost done with just retiring from I've been a police officer for the last 16 years, and just retiring out of that.
Thank you for that, by the way. Yeah, that's awesome.
I appreciate it. But growing up, I did all the choirs and but in school and in the worship team at church, all growing up, and just so that kind of had to spark the flame of singing in my life. I didn't really do anything instrument wise. It was just all the vocalizers for a long time. So I always had an interest in singing and like all kinds of styles, especially growing up in the Northwest. You kind of had a mix of everything. Oh, yeah. It wasn't very one genre specific. It was truly a melting pot of music in that kind of greater Seattle area. But so I really liked everything. I was very eclectic with music and styles. But I started. It was really my in-laws when I first got married to my wife. Like her family was very musical, and I had I don't want to say I was away from music for a little while, and then when I got married and to her, kind of got roped back into the music thing because her whole family was very musical. She plays drums. Her father, he's a singer, guitar player, all that good stuff, and just so they had their whole living room or garage converted in kind of like a little just music area. They always had amps and speakers and guitars always plugged in and mics, and we would just jam out. And then one thing led to another, from just the family jamming to then having little house parties where everyone would come over and we just have our own little concerts. And then it kind of just branched off to where he would just, he was a salesman by trade, but he would go out and find, he'd call me up and be like, hey, I got this little cafe or bar or whatever over here. Then we got a gig. But his version of a gig was these guys are going to let us play in the corner for a meal ticket, some beers and a burger. Yeah. So, but we were having fun with it. So I'd load up, some guitars and a simple drum kit in the truck. And then my wife and I would meet him out wherever we're at. We'd play for a couple hours of just jamming. That led into,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great time. But that led into one of my buddies at patrol. And when we were working night shift one night, we were just chatting, and he was a drummer as well, and he knew I sang, and picked a little guitar, just enough to get in trouble. Then he just kind of looked at me very serious and was like, "Hey, we need to start a band." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, whatever." And he's like, "No, seriously, we need to start a band." And I kind of sat with that for a minute, and I was like, it kind of took interest, and it kind of grew and grew. And then I hit up another buddy from the worship team I was on, who plays killer guitar, and I was like, "Hey, just throwing this out there, would you be interested in in a text?" He was like, "Hey, we're thinking about starting this kind of country cover band. You in?" He just all caps, "Yes, I'm down." And so that kind of kicked things off. And it's funny, at the time, we had sold our house because we were looking to buy property to build, and so but in that transition period, we bought a fifth wheel trailer that my wife and I were living in. It was like a toy hauler, and our first band rehearsal was in the back of this toy hauler trailer thing. So it was pretty cool. It was just a way to kick things off. But we gigged around, and my father-in-law joined the band, and we kind of did that country cover band thing for several years in that kind of greater Northwest area, and just really kind of got the bug for and kind of cut the teeth doing the bar gigs and the cover bit gigs, and many a nights doing the 8 to 1 in the mornings of just 4 or 5 hours of just song after song, and just really kind of just having a great time with it. But yeah, it wears on you when you're already working full time. We had little kids and stuff like that. But I started getting into my own songwriting, and both from just the different things I experienced and just was going through, and just it was a good avenue for me. And then I just really got the bug to want to start doing my own stuff, and then the timing of it was pretty, I'd say kind of, good as far as that transition was when COVID hit, because especially out we were at, like every place closed down for live music and no one was getting together, no one was playing. So, we started doing like everybody else, doing the onlines and the lives, and just really just spent a lot more time writing my own stuff. And I kind of just really cemented that I want to start doing my own stuff. And it's not that I don't like singing other people's songs, because I still do it, but it just hits different when you're writing your own stuff. And then eventually when people are starting to, sing them back. So, and we always knew that, it was the goal to move out to the Nashville area, and just, and it wasn't really in the cards for a long time, but, one thing led to another with work stuff and just my life trajectory, if you will, that, made it so the path was clearly shown that my time in police work was starting to wrap up, and those doors were kind of shutting, but everything related to music was opening. And then my wife was like, well, then why are we fighting this? Let's just move. And so we kind of just did a lot of praying, a lot of sitting on that, and just seeing if that's where God was leading us. And it ended up, all the chips were falling in place, and we sold everything, and we headed out eastbound to Nashville. And we just landed just outside of town, and just, it's been a crazy journey.
Good. And I feel like that's definitely what it's all about in the end, is just you enjoying life. And it sounds like your partner is very supportive. So yay, kudos to a supportive wife.
That's huge.
And you said that she's a drummer. That's so cool that she's also musical. And I know that you just talked about your child and your baby with me before we started. And so I'm sure that musical talent will definitely just influence that baby too.
We got 3 kids. All of our kids, all of our kids got guitars for Christmas, and they're just there. My little my 6-year-old daughter, she's actually gets up and she sings with me on stage every now and again. She comes up and once she realized that people tip you when you sing, like she jumps up. Like we got some videos every now and then, like I think on my page there's one, but her favorite song is "Do Lord." It's just an old gospel hymn, and we'll jump up and I'll strum along and do harmonies with her, and she just tears into it, and she'll just it's a riot. And I was but
how precious!
It's another level, but
you
can't replace those memories, though.
That's so true. Oh my gosh, very, very true. Well, and then maybe one day your daughter or one of your other babies may surprise you and start songwriting themselves.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And we also were talking about getting involved with songwriting rounds and stuff like that just then. Tell me about something that you're working on right now, either a project that you're about to release or a song that you're working on that you're really proud of. Tell me what you have going on.
So, I mean, that's actually a good topic for me right now. There's a lot of songs that I want to cut. Like right now I'm in the process of working with an awesome producer out in Nashville, Saxman Studios. We're trying to just lock down to pencil in some dates, hopefully middle or end of March, and probably going to be cutting probably 2, at least maybe 3 songs. We're just still kind of narrowing it down. Like, we're going to kind of pick 8 to 10 songs and kind of whittle those down to like 3 or 4, with the goal being to record those in that one, couple days time, and then slowly release, do like a release schedule through the spring and summertime. So it's still kind of on the burner of what songs we're going to do. I mean, I think there's, I'd love to cut them all right now, but at the same time, I mean, as an independent, that's also an expensive task.
Right.
So you got to kind of cut a couple and put it out there and try to just be gigging and try to, build up that stash again to start recording a few more, and just kind of just as the cash and stuff comes in, cause I'm not going to take, food out of my baby's mouth to try to chase this. I can't afford to do that. I gotta, I still got to provide and be responsible without just trying to say, well, this is my dream. I got to do it. It's like, no, I've seen enough life where I can have a little more patience in that. And like I said, I mean,
Mhm.
have the trust and faith that this is the right path. And it's the saying, it's a 10-year town, not a 10-month town. So I got to take my strides, and I got a lot of learning still to do, but I'm loving every minute of it.
That's right. That's awesome. Do you have like a collaboration team that you work with whenever you write, or is it mainly just you, or how does that work? Do you work with
So
a lot of
far, I've
people?
done all solo writes.
Wow.
But we actually just finished. I just did a co-write the other day with some friends, and I think it turned out pretty cool. So I'm going to probably pitch that out to some publishers hopefully in the next couple weeks, and just at probably one of those NSAI nights, and just we'll see if hopefully anyone bites or at least gets interested. So I definitely am interested more of the co-write, and that's definitely a big thing out here is just
Yeah.
everyone kind of leaning on each other's strengths. I think just for me, it's it's just making those networks and meeting those folks that you jive with and that are, because really it's up here. It's all about, are you a good hang? Are you a good person? Are you genuine? And once you kind of find those folks, you just kind of stick with it and roll and just see what hopefully the best song wins and makes some great music. So
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure that it really matters on who you work with
yeah,
as a collaborator and a creator, because sometimes you just really have to rely on, like you said, finding those strengths
yeah.
that but work well together. Well, okay, so and you were talking about live shows, bar shows, gigs here and there. Tell me, what's your favorite thing about live shows?
Well, I think you
Mhm.
can't replace the energy, and just like, I mean,
Mhm.
I truly think that there's something very emotional and even spiritual about music in general and how it's designed and why it affects us in such incredible ways, both in positive ways and in sorrow. And it's just, but it evokes stuff out of you like you know like nothing really else. And I think on the neck you can get at something similar if you're just jamming through your headphones or your stereo. But I think there's just something about that where that collective together also kind of experiencing those same emotions and feelings together. It's special, especially if you're doing originals and like songs that are I always kind of joke when I try to articulate to folks what it's like being a songwriter, and it's like I kind of the way I always kind of go back to it's like trying to show the world your baby and just praying they don't say it's ugly. It's like, because it's something that's usually so special and dear to your heart, to you, and you're about to just expose it to the slings and arrows of the world, and
That's so
it's
true.
scary,
Yeah.
but
Because we've all seen an ugly baby, I'm
oh
sure.
yeah,
We've
and
all
you're
seen.
lying if you say no, but you say, well, I'm sure it's gonna have a great personality, but
Right. Oh, what a
but
precious
oh
thing.
yes,
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 exactly.
seriously, said, oh, bless
Oh
their
my
heart.
gosh.
um
Yes, yes.
but it's something where, especially if it's something you're going through or something you experience, that you may not know anyone in the crowd, but someone in there's probably been through those same shoes and can relate to, and that might help them in that moment. So it's a special thing. It really can change lives in a very direct way and more efficiently than a lot of other things. So I think that live experience is pretty dang special.
What do you think? What's your favorite show that you've played so far? Or maybe like a favorite venue or anything like that?
So far, I would actually say it was not too long ago, just because it kind of really solidified, some of that confidence that I was making going the right direction. Was like I had the opportunity. There's a cool club back in Washington called Steel Creek. It's in Tacoma. It's a cool spot. Really really cool country vibe. It's like a 500-600 cap room, but pretty cool, but super cool. But I got asked to. I'm sure you're familiar with Jameson Rogers.
Oh
So
yeah.
I got the opportunity to open for him there when he was touring through town, and it was a real special moment for me because it's, I don't know, in a way it was kind of like, oh, this is like the real deal. There's real national touring artists out here. I'm going to go open for them in front of a sold out crowd. But what made it really special, I think, on top of that, was not only playing a lot of my songs, but that I was kind of just rehearsing, because we got a pretty short notice to do it, because obviously some of those things are pretty short notice to
Yeah.
get folks lined up. So we only had a couple days to get ramped up for it. But, my wife and I were practicing, like she was just playing the cajon in our living room. And I just kind of like, just to help out. And I was like, do you want to play too? And she's like, really? And I was like, well, yeah. I'm like, why not? And she was like, yeah. And so we kind of just, winged it a little bit, but, her and I went up there and got to play this sold out crowd that was just, the vibes and the energy was amazing. But it was cool that I got to share that with her. I think made it that much more special. So it's going to be hard to top that. I mean, but I'd say so far that was a big moment for me. And that was just,
yeah, that was
just like just about last February. So about almost a year ago.
Last February. Yeah. Wow. That is an amazing memory though. Wow. How awesome. Okay. So where are you scheduled to perform next? Like what's your next showcase or anything like that?
So, I mean, I got a couple solo dates at Live Oak coming up over the next, I've got like a blurb on my Insta with some of those. Like the next one I think is coming up on Friday on the 3rd. We're actually doing a really cool, so where I'm at is Dixon County, which is about 40 minutes west of Nashville. But I've got a really good group of writers and artist friends out here that I've been making. And so we're actually doing a whole like, I'm sure you've been to some of those shows where you have like these different takeovers or like you have a certain group kind of do it the whole night. So we're doing a Dixon takeover over at Live Oak where it's all Dixon artists and writers. And so it's a good time. So that's on the 7th of February. Cool. And then,
nice.
What's going to be fun with that though, is that we're also doing a little different to where we're doing the first 3 hours of just a traditional Nashville songwriter round. But then the last hour, we're all taking turns, doing just a favorite, cover song, but full band. So that'll be cool. It'll put a little nightcap on for that show. So, but it's going to be a great time. And, so a couple things at Live Oak, a couple things at, there's a pub in Bellevue. I'm going to be Plantation Pub. I'm going to be playing there in a few weeks. And then a couple spots in Franklin coming up throughout this spring. And then trying to just even book a lot of, I just did a private like living room concert the other day, just me for solo. And it was so fun. It was this awesome family. And they just it was a big birthday party for them. And turned into like them re-proposing to his wife and just, had to learn like, on the spot, like had like a few minutes to learn their wedding song, which was like this Tracy Byrd song that I'd maybe heard once in my life. And so I was like, no pressure, just let me try to just learn this verse and chorus real quick. Yeah. Because he got down and proposed again and everyone's crying. I'm like, oh, don't screw this up. But it turned out good. We had a great time. And so I'm looking forward to, start doing a lot more of those just because they're so chill and just, it's easy to, there's a lot of people that are starving for live music, but they can't always go downtown or get sitters and things like that. So I was like, well, I got the stuff. I'll pack up and I'll plop right in your living room, your backyard, your porch, and let's go have a good time. And so it's pretty good. You invite all your friends. It's a lot cheaper to, buy a case of Busch lattes or some whiskey versus, whatever they're charging at the bars these days. So then you invite all your friends and family and you just make some memories. So it's awesome. A good time.
Oh,
it's
wow.
a good time.
Yeah. So very cool. Very cool. Okay. So you were just talking about Tracy Bird's song that you maybe heard once in your life. Is there a song right now or a song that's been like a favorite of yours for a long time? Tell me about your musical taste.
Oh man. So I really lately I've been really vibing with some Zach Bryan and like some Charles Wesley Godwin and a lot of those cats.
Yes.
But there's also some of the local guys that one of the songs that I absolutely love and I love playing it out is Larry Fleet's "Where I Find God." I play that all the time and it's one of those songs, man. I just wish I wrote that one. But it's such a good, and it's cool because he's from out here in Dixon, so it's cool to hear, try to rep the hometown guy. Awesome. But I've got that song on blast all the time. But I'm also, I've been really, I've had, the Mockingbird and the Crow on repeat for a while, and I've, Hardy doesn't put out bad tracks, and so it's cool seeing those guys' journey. I mean, especially history. I mean, I remember, catching him on, Alive when he still only had like, 5,000-6,000 followers on Instagram, and we were just chatting back and forth in Alive because I was covering what was his song? Rednecker. Like I used to play that one at shows, and I just was chatting back and forth how much I love playing it. It's cool how you see some of those folks that just hit that rocket ship and just take off, but being able to say, hey, I remember still remember chatting with you back in the day, and it's cool to see those guys do so well and really get the recognition for their artistry that they're putting out and just the quality of stuff. Yeah, I'd probably say some of those songs I jive with both stylistically and just that have hit me good ways. But, honestly, I think some of those other songs that hit me really hard are like, some of the like the Randy Travis's, like Three Wooden Crosses. I mean, or, a couple of those songs that just can't help but, tear me up just listening to them. And I think those are just, like I said, about why some of those live shows are so powerful. Cause you don't know how a moment's going to hit you until it hits you. And the only way to do that is put yourself out there and be in those environments. So I think the more you can do that, I mean, you open yourself up for some really cool stuff.
Yeah. It's amazing to watch country music just like have a transformative and like experience on all the fans that get to experience it with you.
Right.
And that's a pretty cool feeling.
100%.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If you were to go on tour with an artist right now, who would you love to go on tour with?
Honestly, I mean, I'd probably throw like Zach Bryan in there just because I really, I love the kind of the grassroots stuff that he's doing. And just, but on that same kind of vein, just a band that I've always loved, I always loved their vibe is I think it'd be a hell of a time to go on tour with Mumford & Sons.
Oh my gosh.
Just because, for a lot of it's because not only do I love their style and their songs, but I love how, a lot of their shows just become like improv, like jam sessions and just very organic and just, and they've got horns, harmonica and violin and banjo and just trumpets and just every little, just so there's no way to predict where it's going to go. And I think that, that tension and that anticipation it just hits different. So I always thought, they would be a cool, and I've heard they're good dudes, and I think that would be a blast to get some shows with those fellas. But
how awesome.
So I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen Mumford & Sons live. It's been like 6 years ago now, but it was at a music festival in London.
Very cool.
Like at Hyde Park. Yes, and oh wow, that was again another transformative experience for sure. Like that. Wow. Can you name a time when there was a performance that you saw or performance that you gave even that like really kind of, I don't know, stuck with you as one of those like moments in music history in your head where you're just never gonna replace it?
Yeah, no, it's actually interesting, kind of going back even Mumford of, one of my favorite songs that I love playing, and it's usually pretty rare you hear it out, especially in bars and breweries and stuff like that but I loved their style of how they played Amazing Grace. I remember seeing their version. They did a very cool bluegrassy version as a festival that I was able to just, caught on YouTube. And I just, every time I played that version, it always just gave me the goosebumps. And I started playing that as like a closing, like I used to play, when we used to play the cover gigs, we always used to close with Friends in Low Places. It's just your typical, but for a while now, like for the most part, like a lot of shows that if time's allowing, I close with that version of Amazing Grace. And it's cool because it's probably one of my all-time favorite songs in general, but it's so relatable and it's so universally known by folks. And you'd be amazed at how many people, like you kind of start just the slow strum, just early, the first intro, and then just like start jumping into like almost like a very up-tempo bluegrassy style, and how everyone's just like, is this really happening? And everyone starts feeling it. Next thing you know, everyone's clapping and singing. You got people just having a gospel session in the middle of this bar, just hands raised, just people, you can just see that spirit running through them all. And I think just the first time I did that and got that response, you just go, okay, we're doing something cool and something's moving here. And I think that was one of the coolest things I did in that. So wow. Yeah, Amazing Grace in a bar. That was one of my moments.
Sometimes we need that though.
Amen.
Honestly, we really, really do need that. Yes. All right. So thank you so much for meeting with me today. Again, if you're just now like tuning in, this is Michael Warren. Do you have any shout outs or anything that you want to promote before we hop off today?
Well, obviously follow Coda Country. Shoot, that's awesome, and you're doing some awesome stuff, and it's awesome that you're reaching out to the little guys in this game, because it's definitely a scary world, but it's an amazing ride. But I don't know, I just shout out to even just the music scene and the Nashville community is just, it's as a whole, it's like, it's terrifying, but at the same time, it's like, but they all want you to win. Yeah,
you have a lot of people in your corner.
You really do. It's like everyone
cheering you on.
It's all about, like, everyone wants to see the best song made by whoever's going to make that song, because everyone's rooting for you, because and I always thought that the quote, "You're always 3 minutes away from your life changing forever," it always stuck with me. On just keep grinding. It'll hit at some point. It might not be what you thought in your head, but it'll hit in some way or some another, or it's going to affect someone really well. So I just shout out this whole community and culture that's promoting and just encouraging this kind of art. Has been an awesome thing. And shout out to NSAI. They've been awesome. And I'm going to go pop over there in a little bit. And, they're super open book, and it's been cool just to kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit of seeing how this all works, because I think that's some of the scary things, just especially because it's such a different business from what I'm used to. Is just a lot of learning curve and, hitting the ground running. So there we go.
Yeah. It seems like you're running in the right direction, though. So I thank you again so much for getting on this podcast today. And until next time, this is Leigh with Coda Country, and you heard it here.
Thanks, Leigh.